If you were wandering in the woods and a witch like this asked you to come and try the cookies, it'd be hard to say no. If she's got a van. That's funny. Do we want to use these gloves? I hate the fact that we got the plate gloves. And these are technically better.
Wander at your leisure. See what
Quick, let me do this. So we want to put this in there because we use turning slash all the time. That's going to give us a massive damage boost. Okay. Then let's go to the Huando here. We're going to put Howling... Oh man. Emits a sonic shockwave that confuses nearby enemies before being hit. Put that. And... Oh, I didn't extract the other one. Wait, can we not... What's ranged combat like in this game? And is there any spellcasting? I think we get elemental attacks at some point.
I have been waiting for you.
But I don't know... Here we go. I don't know if those are considered spells. As far as ranged combat, I have not done a whole lot of it myself, but there is a whole skill tree for just ranged attacks. So you have like a charged attack, you have a multi-shot attack. I think there's a shooting evasion attack, even. So that is, I think you can actually play strictly range if you really want to. Although there's some boss fights that would be really hard with just range. Do we... I'm just gonna gut this sword. We've invested a lot into Huando, so... Let's just take all this stuff off. Anything we want to change here? We have Wind Slash on both. We could take the one attack off here and put crit. Yeah, let's do that.
You'll find what you seek here.
So here we want to put the... We could put this on there too, but we'll put the crit rate. Great. It's weird having crit rate. It feels weird to have crit rate in the game when we can't see damage numbers, because I can never tell if we're actually critting. Is there some kind of visual cue to tell you that you're critting?
See what calls to you.
Hondo, we want to put this on you. I'm tempted to... kind of tempted to take the Queen's Fangs out. That replaces Stab with that ability. More silly question than you hold your peace. No, you're fine, man. If I had unlimited money and could make a game, what would it be? Skyrim co-op, this co-op, first person. If I had unlimited money and the technology was available, and this is going to sound super corny, I would recreate Einkrad from SAO. Like an actual, like, full dive system. MMO. Like in Sword Art Online. That would be incredible. I think it would also be detrimental to society, probably, but hey. I think a game like that, full dive, getting the full experience, would be insane. But also, like, even if you couldn't do the full dive thing, right? Recreating a game like that, like Einkrad, I think an MMO in that style, where the players have to unlock and push as a community to unlock the next levels of the tower, and everything is wide open, somehow block information from spreading on the internet, so people have to actually communicate in game and with and team up and form alliances to go find rare monsters, just like it is in the anime, right? Where they're locked in there and they have to rely on each other. They have to rely on information brokers. People have to figure out how to blacksmith and stuff like that. I think we desperately need an MMO where, I don't know. I mean, so you're always going to have the issue where there's a group of people that just, they go full hog and want to beat the game in like a week, right? And then you have the people that want to take it casually. And the people that take it casually end up getting blasted with all the spoilers because of all the people that ran through and blah, 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 blah. So, like, there's always this problem for MMOs where they have to make the end game content hard enough to stall the gung-ho people long enough that they don't get bored immediately. But also they can't make it too hard because then they lose all their casual players. So, like, I feel for all these places and all these companies trying to make MMOs because it is such a fine balance. And with the internet now, like, I feel like the internet ruined MMOs. Some of my favorite memories of gaming is back in the day during, like Asheron's Call, Star Wars Galaxies, and even the early days of WoW, when you actually had like a community on your server. There were no server transfers. Like, you had a reputation on the server, and if you screwed up or you were a jerk and you ruined your reputation, that's on you, man. Right? FF11 was another great one. If you were a jerk in that game, you were excluded from parties. You could no longer level, and you had to go make amends with the community. And now people are just like, oh, I was a jerk. Haha, that's funny. I'm just going to go transfer to another server and do it again. You know, like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are craving a community-focused MMO where people can't just log on and choose to be a jerk, which you get on the internet where you can be anything you want, right? Anonymity. Why do you choose to be a jerk? I will never understand that. Why choose to be a total jackanape? Makes no sense. But I think a lot of people are out there, myself included. I want a new MMO so bad, and I get that they're so hard to get right. I understand that. I mean, look at all the ones that have failed in the last few years, right? I miss the community of the MMO. The MMOs of the olden days. You know, back when you put in the effort to get that crazy piece of rare armor and you walked around town, people were like, oh man, like they did this, they did that, you know, like you could actually get some sense of accomplishment. Whereas now it's just like, oh yeah, let me download this mod or this add-on, and now this is 10 times easier, and everyone and their grandmother has this piece of armor or this piece of whatever. Like, yeah. You met one of your girlfriends in an MMO. She was in America, and you were in Aussie land. I met my wife on Final Fantasy XIV, and we still play games together. Yep. Let's try out this Queen's Fang. We can always switch it. I think maybe, I don't know what we're gonna do for these gloves. See what these gloves look like.
Until next time.
You used to get 200 people throw ticker tape up. Because you keep them more safe. Nice. Okay. What do these gloves look like? Do they ruin our vibe? Not really. They actually don't look that bad. Okay. Let's throw some good stuff on these gloves. Where did our other gloves go? Okay, so what did we have on these? Slashing reads and movement speed. We would gain 2 crit. So we're gonna lose 2 crit if we put these on. No? Wait, what? Where'd they go? Crit rate, level 2. Crit rate, level 4. Equip. Crit rate's still level 4. Are we gaining hidden bonuses for having multiple pieces of the plate armor on? That's weird. This as an MMO, good or bad? It'd be crazy, but you could save the PvE. And PvP would be totally separate, like Lord of the Rings Online. So technically, an MMO version of this exists in Black Desert Online. Which didn't do very well because it was pay to win.
You'll find what you seek here.
I think an MMO in this style would work. But they would definitely have to change some things. So, I mean, the game started as an MMO, and then they decided to go single player. But I don't know. When you introduce PvP to primarily PvE focused games, you either have to make it in an entirely separate thing, different gear, different skills, because that all has to be balanced differently, right? It just adds a lot of work for, I don't really see the point. I'm not a PvP person, so I have a little bit of a biased opinion, I suppose. I don't mind PvP if it doesn't affect my PvE experience. Unfortunately, in some games, it does. And those games tend to fail because they have to balance stuff around PvE or PvP, which kills it for the PvE. And then you have PvP players that just decide that they need to make everyone miserable for some reason. Again, why choose to do that on the internet? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see what we can buy.
Wander at your leisure. See what calls to you.
I think we're good. We need to go dump some stuff off and sell some stuff, is what we need to do. Apologize, guys. I've been sitting here basically doing nothing for like 40 minutes, and we had that really long, oh, we have a book to learn. Okay. Had that really long AFK earlier, so I apologize about that as well. So we need some money, so let's just sell this stuff. Remember the old Star Wars MMO? Pick your best mate nearly a year to become a Jedi. Yep. Yep. Star Wars Galaxies is still my favorite MMO to this day. I had an incredible time and so many good memories in that game. And it sucks that the company that created it killed it by doing stupid. They listened to a whiny minority of the player base and ruined the game. It was a perfect example of why the screaming minority is not necessarily always right. We're gonna donate these to the camp. Empty bottle. Okay. We're good. I think the rest we just need to take back and dump.
Until next time.
So it wasn't just that they let everybody become Jedi or Sith. So what originally happened was in the base game when it came out, in order to unlock Jedi, when your character was created, there was a hidden set of requirements to unlock Jedi. Effectively, what that meant is that you had to grind every single class in the game until it unlocked, which took a long time. Then what happened is that you would get a quest chain to become a Jedi or whatever. At that point, Jedi were unkillable. But if you were a bounty hunter, you could get a bounty to kill those Jedi. However, if a Jedi, and the reason they were invincible was because back then, if a Jedi died, they were permanently dead. Your character was permanently dead. So they decided to change the first change they did. They decided to change that. So they took away the permanent death. They reduced the strength of Jedi to make them actually killable. And then shortly after that, I think was the first combat update, which drove a few people away. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And then they did another change along with, I think it was with an expansion that introduced, I think, Kashyyyk. They changed it again to be... they basically made it like it was just a quest chain you could do to become a Jedi. But it was only available like once a month for a certain amount of time. And you had to do it within that certain amount of time. Then came the 2.0 combat update, which this is what trashed the game, was the second combat update. They tried to turn it into... I don't even know. I don't think World of Warcraft had even released yet, so I can't even say they were trying to make it like WoW. But it ruined it. It was such a terrible change, and no one could figure out why or how it made it through the testing process and made it to live. Everyone was baffled. I had... so prior to that update, I had a group... I was part of a group of Imperials... that there was probably 70, 80 of us, which was a lot back then, right? Not everybody had computers and internet that could run games and all that jazz. There were 70 or 80 of us, and after they announced the combat change was going to happen, there were about 5 of us left. It crippled the game. And along with that, they then made it a selectable class to be a Jedi. You could just pick it. From level 1, you could just pick to be a Jedi. Yeah. It was bad. It killed the game so fast. They lost like 90... What was the number? 95% or like 89% of the player base. And it never recovered. My tiny child. But man, there were so many cool systems. You had when they introduced the shipwright class, crafter class, and the space combat, you build your ship from scratch. You had to have a person craft all the parts, and then you created your ship. You would get the blueprint. So like I had a TIE interceptor, and I had to go. So I had the blueprint for that, but then I had to go buy all the parts from a crafter, and your parts could be varying quality, right? So you had to go find the best crafter, have them craft you stuff. Then you plug them into your ship, and then you got to fly around. It was the coolest DLC expansion ever. It's still my favorite DLC expansion. But I think one of the coolest parts of that game, which I didn't think of back then, was you had the major city or whatever on. Was it Naboo? Naboo was one of them. But everybody could have a small house with a vendor inside. And you would just load up your vendor with stuff you wanted to sell, and you would set your own prices. And so part of what I did was I would go around to all the vendors trying to find good deals. and then people would pay me to decorate their houses, and it was one of the coolest house decorating systems. I still have not found a system anywhere close. But one of the coolest things was the class. There was a class where you could be like a mayor. You could set up a character, and people would have a whole character that was just dedicated to being a mayor. You would set up an actual town with all the people in your guild. They would place houses. You could set access for people to come in and out of your house. There was like a tax system and all this other cool stuff. Which further drove like the community aspect, right? We would meet up in the town, chit chat, and do all this other stuff together. Like, there were so many cool things in Star Wars Galaxies, and no, I don't think any MMO has done anything close to that since. You were playing Dark Age of Camelot at the time? Yep. I knew a few people that were playing that. I never got to try it myself, I don't think. I think there was like a free weekend one time, and I went to go try it, and I couldn't get it working on my computer. I think my computer at the time just could not handle that game. Let me dump all this stuff here, chat, and then we'll get a move on. Ben. That, put you away, put you away. You are food. You are potato. Put you away. Put you away. You away. You away as well. Put those, put that away. That away. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so I need to read this book, and we can sell it. Friend was one of the first Jedi. He had like 18 hours a day to play. Yep. That's the other thing too, right? You know, when we were younger, we had so much more time to play MMOs and games in general. And now I think what a lot of a few games are suffering from is that, and I think MMOs especially are kind of suffering from this because the younger generations do not have attention span. They just don't, right? And MMOs kind of need an attention span. But as far as us older gamers, like, we just don't have, most of us don't have the time anymore. You know, back then we could play an MMO for 16 hours on the weekend, and you know, that was just normal. But now, you know, a lot of people can't do that. And I think that's also, you know, hurting MMOs. These new MMOs come out and they're catering to the older generation. We don't have time to play.